Hi guys, you're watching TalkSmith Podcast. I'm Alina Varakuta, and today my amazing guest is Younes Sadaghiani. He's a Persian political analyst, activist, whose insights have been trusted by BBC and JB News. Today he's sitting here to go deeper. No scripts, no time limits, just a raw conversation about conflict, power, and some things we're not supposed to see. Hi, Younes. Thanks for coming.
Well, pleasure.
Um,
Do you want to tell people how we met?
I'm curious. Should we tell about this?
So basically, I was walking down King's Road and she just was sat there and then she looked quite sad. So I was like, let me just go and speak to her.
When was it?
It was like 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago. And,
3 hours ago.
Yeah, 3 hours ago, yeah. And I was on my way to work out, basically. And basically, we just had a conversation going, and she told me like she does podcasts, and I was like, oh, great. So I do podcasts as well, and I'm on TV. And apparently, your guest had cancelled for the day.
Last minute.
Last minute. So I came and I saved the day.
I mean, wow. How lucky
The
I
universe
am.
works in mysterious way, they say.
Exactly. Tell me a bit about yourself.
So my name is Younes Sadaghiani, and I'm a Persian political analyst. I've appeared on GB News, Talk TV, just a lot of different media outlets. I studied politics at university, at London School of Economics. I have a master's degree, and I just have my opinion on many different things, and you can check it out on Younes Rocks on my Instagram page. I have a unique take on everything. So I went viral like maybe beginning of last year a few times. And ever since then, I went on TV and a few times and I just basically grow my profile. I'm going independent now. So I'm on independent page. Younes Rocks on YouTube as well. So that's what I'm doing because I like to be an independent voice. I don't like, because when you're like working with GB News or Reason, they will tell you what to say and what you can't say. And I don't like that because
Really?
I like to be unfiltered person. Yeah. So I'm going independent. So I went independent actually like last month. So
Congrats.
thank
Good
you very
job.
much. Yeah.
You describe yourself as a Persian, not Iranian.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, what's the difference and why does it matter?
I just think Persian does our ethnicity more justice because I think when you say Iran, a lot of people think about some Arab country like Iraq, but Persians, they're not the same as Arabs. We have a completely different culture, completely different language. Everything's different. So I prefer to say Persian, but that the whole issue was, if you want to give you a historical context, we had the Shah, we called Reza Shah Pahlavi.
Mm-hmm.
So Reza Shah Pahlavi used to have a feud with the British over the oil in Iran. And the British like to call it Persian. It was called the Anglo-Persian Oil Company.
Mm-hmm.
But Reza Shah was like, no, I don't want to call it Anglo-Persian. I want to call it Anglo-Iranian. And that's why the name became Iran. But also we have to realize we're all over Aryan. We are Aryans. So like, Hitler used to talk about the Aryans.
Mm-hmm.
So we are the Aryan gene, like the Aryans. We're not like Arab. We're like Turkish and Persians. They're much more similar in that aspect. So I just prefer Persian. I think it just brings back this image of the Persian Empire, and this whole thing is just much more classy name in my opinion. And if I was like the president of Iran, I would change the name from Iran to Persia.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you said that Hitler was considering Persian people as a
superior race, although I wouldn't like quote Hitler on anything.
but
Well, yeah.
But those
He actually liked the
people-
Persians because he considered Persians as Aryans.
Yes,
Yeah.
but those had blue eyes, light hair,
Yeah.
which Persian
But
people
Aryans
doesn't
are not necessarily just blue eyes and light hair. But Aryans, they have lighter features. They're like lighter than the Arabs. And that's why we call Iran Aryan, Iran. You understand? So
Interesting
it goes,
fact. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why
Fair
Iran comes from Aryan.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When you hear the way Iran is portrayed by West, what's the biggest misconception?
I just don't think the Iranian regime represents the people, because in 1979 we had a revolution in which a bunch of Islamic extremists that are not even Iranians, in my opinion, they're like Arabs, in my opinion, they came and took over the country in 1979 after a revolution. And it was mostly by the MI6 and the CIA, actually, to be honest. It was like a coup. So they overthrew the Shah, and Khomeini came and took over. And for 46 years now, we've been under oppression, basically. It's like North Korea, but like the Persians, the thing is, you have to separate the Persian people from the government. It's like two completely different things. Like the Iran you see on the news is not the Iranian people that you know. And the reason is that we've been under occupation, basically, of like an Islamic totalitarian regime.
What's going on in Iran right now?
In Iran, Iran is very beautiful, I have to say. It's a very beautiful country. Yeah, we've got seen the south. We've got like 4 seasons. So we've got like mountains with skiing. You can do skiing, but we've also got beaches. We've got 4 seasons. Persian culture is very nice, but unfortunately for the last 46 years, we've had like an Islamic totalitarian government trying to impose Islam on people. And that's another thing I would say about Iranians. Iranians are not even Muslim. Like majority of them are like Zarathustra, or even like they're not just Muslim. They're just like they believe in God or whatever. So I think Islam is something that was imposed on us. We're not actually Muslims. Persians are not Muslims. And they weren't Muslims to begin with. Like, Cyrus the Great. Cyrus the Great. So he's like the Persian Empire went before Islam, and then Islam came and conquered us. So I think this is the second coming. The Islamic Republic is the second coming of Islam after 1,400 years ago, when Islam conquered Persia. So, and then it took us 300 years to get rid of them. And now it's the second coming. It's the second renaissance of Islam. But I think we're going to get rid of them soon. Well, I hope so anyway.
So how many religions do you have in Iran?
Was Islam, there's Zarathustra. Zarathustra is our actual religion. Like it's older than Islam. It's like Zarathustra. It's like 2,500 years. I'm not a religious person. I believe in God. I'm spiritual. I think but I'm not religious. So I think I take every religion with a pinch of salt. But I think Zarathustra is our first religion, and it's actually much more beautiful, the religion, in my opinion, than compared to Islam, because it celebrates life. It's about see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, these kind of things. Like also like Nowruz, our Persian New Year. Nowruz is a Zarathustra.
When is it?
It's like 20th of March. It's the first day of spring. First day of spring, yeah. So I'm born on the 10th of the 1st, so I'm 30th of March, my birthday. So
Cool.
yes, I'm the 10th of the 1st, but 30th of March dear, yeah.
Let's go back to 1953, when the U.S. helped overthrow the Iran's government. Was it about oil, power, or both?
It was about everything. I think there was this guy called Masoud Mossadegh, which was like more of a socialist, I would say. And then we used to have Reza Shah Pahlavi. And there was basically a power struggle, and the British, they chose Reza Shah Pahlavi over Mossadegh. And the reason why they didn't like Mossadegh is because he wanted to nationalize the oil in Iran. And he actually ended up doing it. The Shah ended up doing it. But then the British Petroleum, the roads in this country are built by Persian oil. Did you know that?
No.
For hundreds of years, for 100 years, the British Petroleum used to have control over Iranian oil until we nationalized it back in 1953.
Interesting.
So for 100 years before that, the British used to control the Iranian oil. So they stole our wealth, basically.
Insane.
Yeah, and that's why they didn't like Mossadegh, and that's why they didn't like Reza Shah, and that's why they overthrew him eventually in 1979, because he was standing up to them, yeah.
What could you tell about younger people in Iran? How do they want to continue to build a country, or they want to leave the country? What's the situation with the youngest
I think majority
generation?
of Iranians, they want to leave, not because Iran is not beautiful, but because they don't want to live under oppression. So majority of Iranians, they actually want to leave. More than 10 million Iranians have left Iran. ever since the revolution. 10 million is a whole country. So it's unfortunate, but majority the problem is in Iran, like majority of Iranians are actually young. I think the average age is like 25 in Iran.
Really?
Yeah, the average age is 25. So it's a very young population. They just have a lot of kids, and we had a war before, so maybe a lot of older people died. I don't know, but the average age is 25 in Iran. So it's a very young population, and majority of the people, they want to leave, but they cannot because they don't give us visas very easily because we're considered a terrorist state, which we actually are. The government is a terrorist state, but not the people. And I want people to separate Persian Iranians from the government in your head, because we're not the same at all.
Yeah, it's different. Like the people and government.
Yeah.
The people are not. People can't control what governments do.
Yeah.
So that's why, yes, you definitely need to separate.
Yeah, but I don't think there's such a usually governments reflect the people. I don't think there's such a stark difference between the people and the government.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the worst case scenario in the world.
Do you have art?
No, we have art, but this is the thing. I don't think it's undiscovered. I think it's quite well known. We have Persian rugs. We have a lot of, we have, our culture goes back many years, thousands of years. So we have a lot of poets like Rumi. Rumi says, you're not a drop in the ocean, you're ocean in a drop.
Wow, that's deep.
And he's talking about you have the universe is inside you already. You're just a reflection of the universe. You're not a drop in the ocean, you're ocean in a drop. So you understand, we encapsulate what's in the universe, in our bodies, in our brains, the fact that we have imagination, the fact that we can think. So Rumi is a very good one. Sadi, Maulana, Hafez, all these people, I encourage people to go and watch. They're very good. It's very deep. Some of the, I don't remember it by heart, but some of the stuff they say is wow. It's much deeper than religion, in my opinion. And they reached it 2,500 years ago, so even before Christianity. And maybe that's where Zarathustra comes from. Yeah.
So it's been 100 days since Trump's inauguration. Tariffs are crazy. Markets shaky. Inflation is biting. Do you think we're sliding towards a recession without admitting it?
Short term, yes. Long term, no.
Why?
Because I think that tariffs are not just for the sake of tariffs. I think Trump is using them as a leverage to renegotiate global trade deals.
Okay.
And I think for a long time, America was being taken advantage of by the whole world, especially also the European Union. The European Union was set up after World War II. So I give you a bit of history. After World War II, there was something called the Marshall Plan by America. So you know what the Marshall Plan is, sure. Yeah? So they spent billions. And also, so Europe always went on the back of America. So they could send their cars to America without tariffs. But then if America wanted to send their cars here, they didn't. And now Trump is saying after 80 years, well, okay, we helped you then. Now we don't need to help you anymore. So I think the issue is not the tariffs. The issue is that, unfortunately, now we have an unfair trading agreement that's against the US. And I think Donald Trump is well within his rights to renegotiate these deals. Because also in America, they cannot export because all the other markets, they have tariffs on American goods. So they have to import everything. And that's why there are $40 trillion in debt. So if you're only importing and you're not exporting, you're going to be in debt. Right? So I think he's right. I think his main goal is that he wants to bring down the national deficit. Because the deficit in America is $40 trillion, and they're all paying 1 trillion interest every year. 1 trillion. Yeah. Soon, the American taxpayers, they're just paying for the interest on the deficit. So none of the money can be spent on public goods. Do you understand? So America is basically going bankrupt. America is going bankrupt right now with the whole trade agreements that they have. And it's going very fast. And that's one of the reasons he's got Elon Musk as DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, because they have a lot of waste. They have on-trade. And I think what he's doing is that Trump is doing a once-in-a-generation opportunity to renegotiate everything. The world is changing before our eyes. We used to have a world order after World War II. We used to have a world order, and now this world order is changing slightly.
Okay, but how new tariffs, for example, 20% for some random islands would influence the global American economy?
Because he's trying to renegotiate the deals, and also tariffs is what the government charges. So, for example, if China wants to export to the United States, if they have 150% tariffs, they have to pay America 150%.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
obvious.
So it enriches the government. So it funds the government. So it's like, okay, but then go and sell your product. But then no one's going to buy their product because the price is going to skyrocket, which will lead to internal nationalism and manufacturing. And that's the whole thing. He's trying to bring the manufacturing jobs back to America. And I think that's something that was taken away by China. And I think it's a national security issue for America also, because you cannot rely on other countries for like precious metals, for example, metal, minerals. These things you need to be able to manufacture yourself in your own country. But if you rely on China, you know, after the pandemic, there was this whole issue of like supply chain in the world after the pandemic. So there was like, America was in a very strategic disadvantage because it was importing everything, but because he couldn't produce it. And now what Trump is trying to do is to make America a producing company rather than a consuming economy. And I think it's the right thing to do. But short term, you're going to have market turbulences for sure. But the market turbulences are not because of what Trump is doing. It's because of the sell-offs by the major corporations. So they're shorting the stock market. I don't know how much you know about these things.
I'm really familiar with stock market.
Yeah, so shorting the stock market. So they're shorting the stock market. So when they say, oh, there's trillions wiped in value, there's no such thing as trillions wiped in value. The trillions are triggered by a sell-off. But then over time, when the confidence goes back up, I think in 2026, the economy is going to skyrocket, in my opinion. So I'm betting for the market rather than against. I think now is a good time to buy.
Okay, let's stop on the topic about materials. What do you know about China and America mining of mineral materials in Africa? Are they in competition?
Yeah, so they have lithium batteries that they have, like, for example, from Nigeria. And lithium batteries are what power Teslas, for example. Yeah. So I think...
So they're mining the lithium in Africa.
Yeah.
Then they manufacture all lithium in America or China.
Yeah.
I guess China, and then they supply
exactly.
to America.
Yeah, but I think because, now, for example, NVIDIA, the chip company, they were in
Taiwan.
They were in Taiwan now. They've invested like 200 billion in America. So I think Trump is trying to make it a attractive economy to come and invest your money here and produce here, Whereas I understand, because look, if there is, for example, if you have a worker in China for 50 pence an hour, you pay them 50 pence an hour to make you a clothes, but that's why you have cheap clothes. But then if you have tariffs on them, then the price is going to go up, which would force people to come and build manufacturing and jobs in the United States. I don't know if it's going to work, to be honest, because I don't think in America people even want these kind of jobs. Go and work in a factory, but I don't know.
But for that, you need to have a full production cycle inside your country.
Yeah.
They can't have the full production cycle because, again, they mining all materials in Africa and other countries. Plus, China still has a big percentage of produced materials. So, how do you think it's possible to make the full cycle production in America?
Not the full cycle, because they still need... I mean, maybe, because I don't know exactly what America have. I'm not sure if they have lithium. Do they have lithium? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
No? So they have to still rely on...
Otherwise, they would found it.
Yeah, probably. But they have a lot of oil. They have a lot of gas. They don't need oil and gas from other countries. They have precious metals, I'm sure. No, you cannot look. The global economy is very interconnected and will remain interconnected. So you cannot have like 100% nationalism. But I think Trump is right in trying to renegotiate global trade deals and bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States. Because I think that's what makes the country powerful. Why did China's economy skyrocket? Because they were exporting. They were manufacturing and they were exporting. Their GDP was going up 10% a year. 10% a year. That's crazy, no? So that's because they were manufacturing. So Trump is saying the same thing. We need to bring this manufacturing jobs back to so we can grow our economy. Otherwise, the United States would be lost in that competition. China is already very close to them, almost overtaking them. So I think it's the whole balance of trying to. It's like America versus China, and I hope America wins because we don't want to live in a communist state.
And what about Middle East? What's going to happen with Saudi, with the Emirates, when the oil going to finish?
No, I think they've already diversified. They've already diversified. Look at Dubai. They've already diversified. They don't even need oil anymore. They've already diversified. They're building cities. They're going to have a lot of tourists coming.
What about Saudi?
Saudi, Mohammed bin Salman, I really like him. Yeah, I think he's a very forward-thinking leader. He's very modern. He brings Saudi Arabia to the 21st century because women couldn't drive in Saudi Arabia until 2018.
That's insane.
Yeah, but now he's very forward-thinking. He's saying we cannot live by Islamic law anymore. So he's disregarding Islam, basically. And he's even said, you cannot have pro-Palestinian things in my country. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I just read it yesterday.
Yeah, so it's insane. So the guy isn't this insane that a Saudi Arabian leader is more forward-thinking than the ones in Europe and America? Like, America now, not after Trump. But like, Saudi Arabia is the country that's telling you cannot go and say pro-Palestine, and do marches in the street. That's Saudi Arabia is telling you that,
And both countries are Islamic.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
But the thing is, it's because we know something. We know something about extremism that you don't. Like this virtue signaling Europe, they think they know better than us. No, you don't know better than us. You don't know Islam better than us. You don't know the subcultures better than us.
Yeah, so it's about cultural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Arabic people could understand much better than Europeans what's going on inside the Arabic countries. Okay, I want to hear your thoughts about Trump's idea to floating Bitcoin to United States reserves. Is it like a strategy or it's just to make a market volume?
So the thing is that, as I mentioned already, America is $40 trillion in debt. And the reason why any country can be $40 trillion in debt because it's the dollar used to be the federal currency, the Federal Reserve currency. It's the reserve currency of the world. So everyone has to buy dollar in order to trade in dollar. That's why America is a superpower. But that's why they can afford to be $40 trillion in debt. Does that make sense? So what happened recently, especially after Russia, is that there was this something called BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, I think South Africa or something. So they were going to trade without the dollar. So if you don't have, as America, if you don't have the dollar as the world's federal reserve, then the American economy is going to collapse. Because that $40 trillion is going to collapse. So everything will be dead. So what they're trying to do now is to stop that from happening, is to either reinstate the dollar or to switch it to Bitcoin. So they call it stable coins, yeah? So I don't think, because look, at the end of the day, every money that you print should be based on product or a service. So every dollar that you print should be
have a fundamental.
Yeah, so exactly. It's called, but then the problem is that sometimes the government prints more money than there is product or service. It's called quantitative easing. So there's actually more money in circulation than there is actually product or service.
Inflation, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's back to Trump and Zelensky topic. So, I mean, Trump and Ukraine, let's say. So Trump said he would stop the war in 24 hours. Now it's 100 days. nothing happened.
Okay.
What's going on?
Okay, so I have a few different opinions on this, and I know you're Ukrainian. So I think the war was actually started when Russia managed to build Nord Stream 2. You know what Nord Stream 2
Yeah.
is, yeah? So it was the gas pipeline into Europe, something that Trump destroyed, yeah? But then Biden reinstated. And that actually gave Putin the funds to go and fund his war against Ukraine because he had the double win. He controlled the energy into Europe. Putin controls the energy into Europe. That's why they can't say no to him. That's why they can't go to war with him, like directly, because he can freeze Europe to death, or he can stop the pipeline because all the, especially from Germany, the gas it comes from Russia. Yeah, so he controls their supply chain, Putin. Yeah, which funds them. They have to pay them billions every year to Russia for that energy. Yeah.
But at some point, Ukraine was controlling this pipe. Like
No,
when
not Nord Stream 2. That's a different pipe.
So Ukraine wasn't controlling.
No, Nord Stream 2 it goes straight from Russia to through the different sea. It's like it's on the other side. So it's not the same pipeline. I don't know which one you're talking. I think you're talking about Nord Stream 1. Nord Stream 1? No. Nord Stream 2, I think it's a different pipeline. I forgot the name. But I know there is one that's going through Ukraine that Ukraine has to charge. But Nord Stream 2 funded Russia for the war. Yeah? And the thing is, that's how they funded the war, because also you cannot go to war with them. So it was a very stupid thing. And Trump was right. Trump was like, why are we relying on Russia for our energy in Europe? And he destroyed the pipeline, Nord Stream 2, and then Biden reinstated it, which actually led to the war, which I have my suspicions, by the way. You know, his son, Hunter Biden, you know Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son? He used to work for an energy company in Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah, Hunter Biden. You didn't know this?
And where this pipe is located?
Nord Stream 2 is from Russia to Germany. It's through the sea.
It's through the sea.
Yeah,
The Black Sea.
not the Black Sea, the other one. I don't know what it's called.
Mediterranean.
It's like the one that's near on the Finland, Estonia,
Near Balkan countries.
Yeah. So it's called Nord Stream 2. If the people look it up, it's called Nord Stream 2. So I think, look, you cannot go to war with someone you cannot say no to. And we cannot say no to Putin. Why? Because he controls the energy into Europe. Yeah? And it's funny because we have to pay him billions that he's going to spend on the war.
Yeah, it's like a
It's like a cycle of money. So it's a double loss for Europe because they have to protect Ukraine. They have to send billions to Ukraine to protect Ukraine. And then at the same time, we're paying billions to Russia that's fighting them. Like, you understand?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think what Trump realizes and what Putin realizes is that is this things that's been going on for a long time, and I don't want to get into it. Like, you know, before Zelensky, there was like a pro-Putin guy in charge. You know, what was his name?
Yanukovych?
I feel for the Ukrainian people, and I don't think the war should have ever been started. It was the wrong policy from the United States and Europe to send your pipeline to Russia. You should never rely on Russia for your energy. And then Russia took that as a token, but then also there was this whole talk of NATO expansionism, which I think is an excuse, by the way. I don't think Putin believes that. But to some extent, there is some merit to it because NATO wasn't supposed to expand, you know, and it did expand. And also, Ukraine used to have 5 nuclear heads. They took that away from them in order for protection, and now they are not. I just think the whole thing is basically tit for tat, the West and Putin. And I think fundamentally, the mistake that they made is that they made Putin the enemy. They could have had Putin on side, like back in the 1990s when he asked to join NATO. He asked to join NATO, Putin, in the 1990s under Clinton. They said no to him. Why did they say no to him? Because, well, we don't trust the Russians. And NATO was, you know what NATO is? NATO was basically built to stop the Soviet Union. But there's no more Soviet Union. Soviet Union finished in 1991. Yeah? So why do we have NATO? It's the North Atlantic. Yeah.
Yeah, but it should.
So now Russia was trying to become part of it, and they're saying no. So they try to alienate Putin. And I'm not saying Putin is a saint and he's not a good guy or thing, but I think he has his own best self-interest at heart. He's not a madman. He's not some crazy guy. He has this Russian people's strategic geopolitical interest at heart. And he's saying, if you're going to provocate us, we're going to push back. And this is what I don't like about Putin. He's pushing his luck. We are happy to... He's pushing his luck. He's almost like trying to out-negotiate, like he's trying to force his hand. No, dude. We're going to give you 25% and okay, go. Yeah.
That's the business.
That's the business. So and then now he's trying to push into Kiev. But then there's the thing. I mean, long term, if he has this mentality, then long term there might not be peace. Because if he keeps wanting to expand, like we need to agree on a set borders. Okay, don't come 1 inch forward and we won't come. But to be honest, it's a big mess because I don't know, because if he says like, even if Ukraine join NATO, I'm going to invade and blah, blah, blah. And then who's actually paying for Ukraine's security? Who's paying? Is the European Union? Is it themselves? Who's paying for their Ukraine? So Ukraine is just in this like middle.
Yeah.
Like, what I say, Ukraine is like a battleground of the West and Russia. That is what it is.
It's literally that.
Yeah.
It's a battlefield between Russia and America.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
America, that was my actually next question. Like, why would Trump stop the war if it's like a battlefield where they can test their weapons and America still making a lot of money with this war?
There's the military-industrial complex is what you're talking about. But I think Trump doesn't care about those things so much because I think that's part of the deep state. And that's one of the reasons why they hate him so much. They try to even kill him, in my opinion, because he's going against the deep state. He's going against the narrative that was set after World War II by these deep state agencies. And the world is changing now, especially, and Trump is a catalyst for that. You understand?
Interesting.
So that's what I see it. And I hope there can be peace between... I think Putin and Trump, they can reach peace. But then they both hate the same thing. They both hate the deep state in America. And the deep state is like things like CIA and FBI that cause coups. They try to even kill Trump. They caused a coup in my country.
Do you think it was real?
Yeah, of course. No, definitely. Definitely it was real. No, I have no doubt.
Not for rating.
No, because look, you cannot. It's impossible. The timing, the angle, and it's impossible. You can't. It's really impossible. You can't. Because I thought about this a lot, but also you can see the pictures of the bullets past his head. Like there's pictures. You cannot even if he wants to take this kind of risk. Like imagine like someone tells you, okay, turn your head at this exact second so I can hit your ear. Like who knows? Like.
I mean, I think if it was a good killer, he wouldn't miss.
No. Yep. I think he turned his head at the right time because he was going to hit his head. And then I don't think so. I think it's a conspiracy by the deep state. Saying, oh, it was staged because they couldn't kill him. Oh, it was staged. Yeah, sure it wasn't staged. And then it's funny. I'll tell you that the killer, we don't know nothing about him. They shot him on sight. Yeah, and also he appeared in a BlackRock advert. You know what BlackRock is, yeah?
Yes.
You know what BlackRock is, yeah? So he was in a BlackRock advert. So BlackRock, CIA, all these people, these are the deep state. You understand? So
I think it's just a conspiracy, to be honest.
No, I don't think so. But BlackRock owns 10 trillion. 80% of the US stocks is owned by BlackRock. Do you understand that, yeah?
Yeah, it's like the biggest
BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. BlackRock has 10 trillion. So the BlackRock GDP is more than, I think only China and America have a bigger GDP than BlackRock. Can you imagine that? Yeah. So you cannot say, they're just some company. No, they're not. They have influence. They have power. They also in Ukraine. Why did they want the war to keep going on? Because BlackRock said that we're going to come after the war. We're going to come and build everything. You know. So, and there's also rare earth materials in Ukraine, especially Eastern Ukraine. There's a lot of rare earths, minerals.
Yeah.
Things like this. Now they're already thinking, companies like BlackRock, okay, how are we going to go and mine? And that's one of the reasons that they're trying to reach an agreement with Zelensky, is over the whole thing. It's over the rare earth. Because America said, look, we gave you 300 billion. Now you need to repay us. And obviously Ukraine can't repay you. It's like, okay, we give you security guarantees, but you need to give us the rare earths. And the rare earths are going to be managed by BlackRock. And that's what the conspiracy, by the way.
What are relationships between Islamic countries and America?
Well, we used to have a very secular, like if you look at the Middle East, Middle East was very secular. And actually, I think a lot of the problems that we have now was caused by the Americans and the British. They bring these Islamic clerics. Like if you go back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s even, you look at the Middle East, you look at Lebanon, you look at Persia, Iran, like women are freed. But obviously, again, the deep state caused these coups and they brought these Islamic figures. Khomeini, for example, like I don't know who this guy was. Like, how can an 80-year-old man, who's funding him? Who is funding him? He has nobody. Somebody's like renting for his flights to Paris. Who is funding him? Of course, it's the MI6 and the CIA because they want to overthrow the Shah. And now it's called unintended consequences. But that's why I don't like the deep state. The deep state is the one that's causing these wars, not necessarily Trump. You need to separate the presidents from the deep state. And Trump is trying to go against the deep state, and that's why they try to kill him, in my opinion. And that's why they try to throw him in prison, and that's why they try to cancel him. They throw him. That's why the system is so against Trump, because he's almost going to expose them over time. That's why the system is against Musk as well now. Because he's also exposing the fraud in the government, in the US government. So I think they're rewriting the program now. They're rewriting the matrix, as they say. That order that was set after World War II is changing now, before our eyes. And Trump is a catalyst for that, and so is Musk.
Who controls deep state?
They are appointed people that have been in their roles for like many years, but also assets, as I said. Assets manager, people like BlackRock. To be honest, I don't know. It's like a big conspiracy. I don't really know who controls the deep state. I'm going to be honest.
Is it just about Americans or
No, I don't
Asians?
think it's about Americans. I think there's this elitist, globalist worldview. Yeah,
That
exactly.
sounds-
Yeah. Like this is the thing. Like it's that thing. It's like the globalists, like WEF. Yeah, and I don't agree with them, by the way. Klaus Schwab, you know him? Yeah, I don't like people like him. I think it's people like him that are on the head of that. That they think they know better than the people. They think they know so much better than the people, so they don't disregard. But also, if you're like the head of CIA, you can be head of CIA for 30, 40 years. Nobody can, there's no term limits. You cannot be just head of CIA for 4 years. You can be head of CIA for 30, 20, 30 years. But it's not just the CIA, it's also like asset management. And it's all a big group. It's like the establishment, what I call the establishment, versus the populist. And I think Trump was a populist candidate. Trump was chosen by the people to be elected, to go against the establishment. And that's why they hated him so much. That's why they tried to mischaracterize him. Oh, he's a racist, he's a sexist, he's a misogynist, he's this, he's that, blah, blah, blah. They tried to cancel him, they couldn't. Then they tried to throw him in jail, they couldn't. And eventually I think they tried to kill him, and they couldn't. And I think he just raised his standing in the world. And I think he will succeed. I think he will reach agreement with Putin, hopefully. I don't know what's going to happen with Iran. I'm not in favor of making a nuclear deal with Iran because I don't think you can trust the Islamic Republic, but that's a different matter.
What do you think, what country will be first to expose the nuclear bomb?
Hopefully none.
But if it would happen, which country could
Probably
be?
Iran.
Iran?
Because this is the whole thing. These people, they worship death, like the people that are in the head of my government. They worship death. Like that's their death cult that have taken over my country. And I don't think you should even give them water squirters, let alone nuclear bombs. Like these people, you cannot, So I don't know. This is very complicated because I think what Trump is trying to do is to try to reach an agreement with Putin, but then Putin is saying to him, you have to look after Iran. and Trump doesn't like Iran because of what happened with Hamas and all these things. So it's like the whole thing is a big mess. So I think the best strategy, in my opinion, if I was to strategize, I'll be like, listen, I will actually get Putin on side. I would make an ally out of Putin rather than an enemy. Make an ally out of Putin and go against the Islamic Republic. And I think that's what they should have done in the 1990s with Clinton. When he offered to join NATO and they just said no to him. They made an enemy out of Putin then when they should have made an ally.
So it's Iran nuclear deal.
Iran and America are negotiating to reach a nuclear settlement, okay? And the premise of it is that the arms of the Islamic Republic are Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. Yeah, they attacked 7th of October on Israel. They tried to attack Israel. Israel responded. Now, Islamic Republic, like Hamas is part of Islamic Republic, yeah? Is an arm of Islamic Republic. Hezbollah is also arm of Islamic Republic. Houthis are an arm of Islam. Now, all these three, Israel and America destroyed. So you cannot, like Hezbollah is gone, Hamas is gone, Houthis are gone. So Islamic Republic is in a very defensive position now, right? And Trump is saying to them, you're either going to make a deal with us to not enrich any uranium, not have any nuclear bombs, open up your markets to the world. And he has a few requests. I just think the Islamic Republic are going to say no to these requests because they're such outlandish requests. And that's why I think you do not make a deal with this regime.
Because they're kind of independent.
No, you don't make a deal with this regime. You just have to take them out, in my opinion. You have to take this regime out. You can't make a deal with the Islamic Republic. Why you can't make a deal with the Islamic Republic? Because Obama already made a deal with them back in 2015. And he gave them $150 billion. Yeah, and they went and spent that money on strengthening the Islamic Brotherhood, Hamas, Hezbollah,
and
Houthis.
Weapons.
Yeah, and weapons.
What? Why? Like, that's a stupid decision.
Yeah, it's
Sorry, Obama, but it's really...
No, but Obama,
Why
I
he
think it
gave
was
it to
out
them?
negotiated by the... Obama agreed that as long as you don't have uranium, we don't care. But then he gave them money, and then they went and bought other things, like weaponry, other kinds of weaponry, other than nuclear. So other than nuclear, they strengthened everything else. I was like, no. And you're aggressing towards Israel, you're aggressing in the region, you're aggressing in Syria, Iraq. That's why Trump killed Qasem Soleimani in 2020. You know Qasem Soleimani?
Yeah, I've heard about
The
that.
airstrike when Trump killed him in Iraq. So I think, look, my advice to President Trump is that don't make a deal with the Islamic Republic because these people cannot be trusted. They're in a very weak position right now. So I think you should just go for the throat and cut off the head of the snake. I think the people will take care of the rest. That's what I think.
Do you have resources to produce nuclear bombs?
Apparently so.
So you don't know for sure.
No, they say they are weeks. They said they had the capacity 20 years ago. Who knows? Maybe they already have some. Who knows? They have and then there's so Trump is saying that if you don't reach an agreement with us, we're going to strike your nuclear bases. Yeah. So now nuclear bases, for example, is Natanz, yeah, which is near Tehran. But actually, if you strike that nuclear base, it's gonna be like a radio cloud over the city. So the whole city has to over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the same as nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
but
Well, what happened in Ukraine? What was it called?
Chernobyl.
Yeah. So something similar is going to happen if America strikes the nuclear facilities in Iran. Something like Chernobyl might happen to like Tehran, like a whole city,
Depends where the wind will go.
Oh yeah, well we can't legislate for that, So now we're in a very tricky position because the Islamic Republic knows the only way they can stay in power is if they have a nuclear bomb, and Trump is saying to them, you cannot have a nuclear bomb. So I think they are actually using these negotiations as a delay, stalling, so they can go and build that nuclear bomb. But I think Trump is going to call their bluff. Before they can build it, maybe he might strike. So this is the thing. It's like a dance. It's like a...
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
How long do you think it's going to take? I mean,
look, they say they had the capacity ever since 2005. So they had the capacity to build a bomb for 20 years now. At this moment in time, they say they are weeks away. They are weeks away from, because you know how they make uranium. You just have to. They have already the things. They already have the things to build the bomb. They have the means to build a bomb. That's all we know. They have the means.
But we are really close to reveal this secret.
Yeah, but they already have the means. So you just have to. And that's why the thing is, I think they're lying. I think they are working behind the scenes to build a bomb. And that's why you can't trust
They're bluffing.
them.
Okay.
They're bluffing. They're already working behind the scenes to build a bomb, and then they're using this as a stage. And that's why Trump is saying we want American verifiers to come there and see you're not building a bomb. The regime is saying no, you cannot. Like, what the fuck? What kind of deal is this that you cannot? Even with Obama, they had to go through third person. Like, Americans couldn't go in Iran. They had to go through third person inspectors that would relay. I don't understand how that it was a mess. I think the Obama nuclear deal was a mess, in my opinion. It's just anything that strengthens this regime is a wrong move, in my opinion. I think you should. For 46 years now, Iranian economy is getting worse. People's life have been getting worse. Why? It's because these people are in power. You know, the best way is to get rid of these people.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But I understand at this moment in time, maybe the fear that America have is that maybe there isn't a strong opposition who's going to come and take over the country. They don't want to cause another situation like in Iraq, like ISIS and Daesh. But Persians are not the same anyway. But I'm just saying these are these fears from the American side. And I think we don't really have a strong, charismatic leader that the Persians can gather around. Maybe there's one or two. But I think the diaspora is very much divided, unfortunately.
Do you think is this leader inside the people or inside the government?
Well, look, I think that the tensions should rise from within, with every revolution. But we have this figure now, which is the son of the last Shah. He's called Shahzadeh Reza Pahlavi, which I actually rather like. You know, I don't mind him. I think he's a very educated guy. He's a very smart guy. But I just don't think he has the necessary assertiveness, or maybe necessarily power, or necessary leadership qualities. I don't know what it is. That he cannot galvanize the whole society. Like, even till 2 years ago, he was saying, oh, well, I don't know. But I think he's the only figure right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I think he's the figure right now that people can go around. And then once the revolution is happened, then people can decide whether they want him or they don't want him, or whether they want a monarchy or they don't want a monarchy. We shall see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what government structure Iran has?
So at the moment we have like a religious theocracy, basically.
What is that?
It's like it's like the Shiaism, Shiites, like Sunnis and Shiites. So Shiites, there's like the 12 imams. In my opinion, it's all based on bullshit anyway. It's like they have these things like, Mahdi, Imam Mahdi, and these things. It's based on it's based on Sharia law, but like the worst kind of Sharia law you can imagine. So that's what they impose on. So our laws is basically we have a supreme leader. His name
it's
is
not the president, it's supreme leader.
He's the supreme leader, Khamenei. And we have a president called Pezeshkian.
I see.
So, but the supreme leader has all the power anyway. I think the presidents are just a puppet for him to, The supreme leader, you should go for Khamenei. I think Khamenei is in a very weak position. He's in a very weak position because his brothers are gone. Hassan Nasrallah is gone. Hezbollah is gone.
If you had a chance to say something to the Trump and Putin and the most famous political leaders, what would you say?
To Putin?
To Putin and Trump, let's say. Just a short statement.
We both have a common enemy. It's called the deep state.
That's what would you say?
Yeah. So
Okay,
let's put our differences aside and let's make a deal. That's what I
Okay,
would
and
say.
to Trump?
That's exactly what I would say to both of them.
To both.
Yeah. They both have a mutual enemy, it's the deep
Bold
state.
statement, I would say.
They
Okay.
both have a mutual enemy, which is the deep state that actually caused this war in the first place. Let's put their differences aside and let's make a deal. And I think Putin would be happy to do that. And as long as Zelensky doesn't stall, I think as long as they give up the 25%, as long as they give it up, however way they want to do it legally or constitutionally, I don't know, whatever. But they need to reach an agreement, and I think that's it.
Hopefully. Okay, Younes, thank you so much for your time. It was really great to hear your opinion. I enjoyed our conversation, to be honest.
No, me too. It was a great conversation, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thanks it was a very spontaneous and nice encounter.
Very spontaneous.
Yeah. Well, we shall see each other again, maybe.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. See you in the next episodes. Bye.